You've felt it before. The sudden emptiness after someone leaves your life. A hollow ache that settles in your chest. A quiet whisper in your mind asking, where did a piece of me go with them? You try to ignore it, to bury it beneath distractions and obligations, but the sensation lingers. It's not just grief, not just longing. It's as if something essential, something invisible, has been taken, moved, or transformed. And you wonder, sometimes in the deepest quiet of your nights, if the part of you that truly mattered, the part that loved without condition, that trusted without hesitation, was somehow lost forever. What if there's more to this feeling than heartbreak? What if your very soul, the essence of who you are, doesn't just stay where you are, but travels in ways you can't see, influenced by forces you never fully understood? You're not imagining it, and you're not alone. What you feel is a shadow of a profound truth about human connection, about energy and presence, about the hidden mechanics of relationships that most people never confront. Today, we're going to explore something that might feel unsettling at first, something that challenges the comforting illusions you've held about love, loss, and the permanence of the self. But by the end of this, you will feel a quiet clarity, a sense of knowing that empowers you to reclaim what is yours, fully and without apology. Think of your soul not as a static, fixed thing, but as a delicate, luminous thread woven through the fabric of your experiences, stretching across the lives you touch. Every smile, every touch, every word of trust connects you to another. And when you care deeply for someone, when you open yourself to them fully, these threads entwine, becoming so intertwined that sometimes you can no longer distinguish where you end and where the other begins. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's literal in a psychological sense. Emotional energy transfers in ways subtle and persistent. When someone manipulates, dismisses, or betrays you, a portion of your vitality, the part that was freely given, feels drained. It leaves you with a ghostly residue of yourself that is temporarily or even permanently out of reach. Most people experience this without knowing it. They notice only the surface consequences: depression, numbness, agitation, or the quiet erosion of confidence. They blame themselves, thinking, I gave too much, I shouldn't have trusted so fully, unaware that the mechanics of connection are at play, mechanics that physicists like Feynman would have described not with sentimentality, but with observation. Energy is never destroyed, only transformed, and so is your essence in emotional exchanges. When someone takes more than they give, consciously or unconsciously, you feel it as an absence. It's the shadow of your own soul being shifted, borrowed, even co-opted. In relationships where manipulation is present, where control is subtle, you can see this happening, but often only in hindsight. At first, it might appear as minor friction, decisions you second-guess, moments where your laughter is muted, desires you suppress. But over time, this accumulates into a deep, almost imperceptible hollowing. Here's the terrifying part. The more attuned you are to others, the more empathetic and sensitive, the more susceptible you are to this. Your care, your attention, your trust, all the things that make you luminous, become a conduit for someone else's needs, sometimes at the expense of your own. And unless you notice the pattern, your soul doesn't just return to you unscathed. A piece of it lingers, influenced by the other person's presence, their expectations, and, in some cases, their indifference. It's easy to dismiss this as melodrama or exaggeration, but the truth is physiological. Your nervous system records energy transfers, emotional manipulations, micro-abandonments, and small betrayals. You may think, it's just a disagreement, it wasn't that bad, yet your body and mind remember. They archive these experiences in a way that subtly changes how you engage with the world. You might notice it in your hesitations, in the way you doubt your own instincts, in the quiet sense that your essence isn't entirely yours. Manipulative people, whether consciously or not, exploit these dynamics. They sense the threads of connection and subtly pull, drawing pieces of you toward them to reinforce their control or ego. And if you aren't aware, you comply, not because you're weak, but because your trust, your openness, your very soul is wired to seek connection and reciprocity. What's happening isn't mystical, it's deeply human, but the effect is so profound that it can feel supernatural, as if your soul itself has been relocated without your permission. Understanding this is frightening, yes, But here's the truth. Awareness is the first act of reclaiming yourself. Once you see the pattern, the ways in which energy is drained, the ways in which trust is co-opted, you can begin to disentangle. You can start the careful work of reclaiming the threads that were pulled, stitching them back into your own being, grounding them in self-trust and self-recognition. Notice, for instance, the moments when you instinctively apologize, accommodate, or shrink yourself. These are markers of borrowed soul fragments. The more you recognize them, the more you reclaim your presence. Like Feynman observed in physics, every action has a reaction. Every energy transfer leaves a trace, but the reverse is also true. Energy can flow back, can be redirected, can be restored. Your soul can return, piece by piece, through conscious awareness and intentional boundaries. Reclaiming yourself is not about blame, it's about agency. It's about noticing when someone's needs consistently override yours and choosing, calmly and deliberately, to recalibrate. Start with small acts. Speak your truth without fear. Honor your desires even when others resist, and prioritize your well-being in subtle, non-negotiable ways. These are not selfish acts. They are reclamation acts. Each one restores a thread of your soul to your ownership. It's also about self-compassion. You may carry guilt, confusion, or shame about the parts of yourself that were ceded. That's normal. Treat yourself as you would treat someone you love unconditionally. Every time you validate your own experience, every time you say, "I am enough and I belong to myself," you reclaim energy that has drifted away. Richard Feynman, in his work on the fundamental nature of matter and energy, insisted on observing reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. He would remind you that while our perceptions of connection are subjective, the underlying principles, the invisible exchanges, the transformations, the flow of energy, are real. Applied to relationships, this translates to a radical clarity. What you feel when your soul is touched, drained, or borrowed is not imagination. It is physics, psychology, and emotional truth converging. It is real, measurable, and recoverable. Now, imagine yourself fully restored, each thread of your essence consciously reconnected to you. You move through the world with awareness, noticing where energy flows toward you and where it leaks away. You trust yourself to discern when connection is mutual and when it is predatory. And in this state, you no longer fear that your soul can be lost, because you understand the mechanisms, you respect your own boundaries, and you act with the quiet authority of someone who knows the value of their own presence. If this resonates with you, if you feel the threads of your own energy being stirred, consider engaging with this space. Subscribe, not for distraction, but to immerse yourself in a channel that explores the hidden currents of human psychology, the invisible mechanics of connection, and the empowering truths you deserve to know. Each video is an invitation to observe, understand, and reclaim. So where does your soul actually go? It doesn't vanish. It migrates through interaction, subtly shifting, sometimes stretched thin, but always recoverable. Awareness is your compass. Self-trust is your anchor. And love, for yourself, is the force that ensures every fragment finds its way home. You are not lost, even when you feel hollow. You are not broken, even when someone else's presence has temporarily dimmed your light. You are whole, infinitely reclaimable, and profoundly capable of carrying your essence wherever you choose. And in this truth, you can rest, finally. Your soul is not a hostage, not a mystery, but a living, breathing part of you, resilient, radiant, and irreducibly yours.